We are coming to you live from inside the locker room and the Burger Varsity Football House. Welcome everyone to signing day here at Lafayette College. It's a great day here on campus, a lot of excitement. I'm Marko Joseph for the Lafayette Sports Network and GoLeopards.com. I want to welcome everybody. This is my favorite day of the year, and I have the pleasure today of looking at the recruits with our head coach, the Fred M. Kirby II head coach of Lafayette College football, John Garrett. John, welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here.
How you doing, Mike? I appreciate it. This is a great day. It's one of my favorite days in all of football as well.
Well, today, before we get into the class and we talk about the class of 2024, let's talk a little bit about how aggressive you guys were last year with a terrific finish to the season. You ended up winning 4 of the last 5 games, finishing 4-2 in the Patriot League, beating the eventual champion up in Worcester, Holy Cross. So a terrific ending to the season, something you got to be really proud of, something to build on moving here into the spring.
Well, the theme all year was to break through in 2019, and we did that. We really did a great job of just establishing some hope and belief that we could make some noise in the Patriot League, and we did. We finished 4-2. We certainly broke through. We had some big wins. We had some come-from-behind wins. We beat Holy Cross up there. And really showed a resiliency and a competitiveness to come back and win versus Bucknell and Fordham, and we were right there. And obviously capped off with the big win over Lehigh on their field, away, and the way we did it and the way we played so well in the important parts of that game. Just a great way to finish, and we certainly broke through, and it really just gives us a lot of momentum for this off season.
Yeah, it was such an exciting season. A way to end the season was terrific, obviously getting that big win at Lehigh. And you had a senior class that I felt was extremely full of leadership. They kind of brought you guys through the hard times. You had a little bit of rough early in the season. Obviously an aggressive schedule that you had in the out-of-conference schedule led you in, I think prepared you for that, obviously that Patriot League schedule, but a very good senior class that you're going to have to, not a lot of kids, but you're going to have to replace those kids, some very important pieces that you're looking for in this 2024 class.
Well, our senior class was led by our 2 captains, and Jake Marotti and YT, Yasir Thomas, did a great job of just leading, playing well, and so we'll have to replace those guys. And then also, big contributions by all the seniors at different levels. Nick Pearson obviously gave us big play ability on offense, and Julian Spigner obviously was a really steady performer for us. And then, a lot of guys on defense that were really good role players that impacted the game and the season, like Keith Earl and Ryan Barnett, and I could just keep going, and Eric Mitchell and a ton of guys. So, we're pleased with that senior class and how they led and contributed, but they contributed to laying the foundation to breaking through this year, and now we're trying to break through, but also break out season for 2020, where we have some unfinished business. We feel like we can vie for the Patriot League championship, and we're going to do that and try to build a program that competes consistently every year for that title.
And it's so important, and obviously establishing and laying that foundation. We know in the Patriot League how important it is for young players to contribute. Obviously, freshmen, you don't have the ability to redshirt kids, so you want to make sure that when the kids you bring in are the right kids, not only the right kids on the field, but off the field. And I think you're doing that, obviously. We saw how important it was last year. Just good, solid players that contributed, a lot of guys that got on the bus for you. And you're looking at that with a class right here of close to 21 kids that you're excited about. And tell me a little bit about this class, maybe what you were looking for, maybe if you were target recruiting, or the areas that you felt you needed to get better, and what this freshman class coming in can do for you.
Well, we're excited about the group that we're bringing in. Number one, the most important thing you can do in any business, any sports team, anything that you run is talent acquisition. You got to bring the right people into the organization, and they have to be talented, but also the right kind of guys with the right makeup. And we have done that the past 3 years, bringing in the right kind of guys, as evidenced by all the contributions of our young players since we came here and recruited all those players. So we have a really good nucleus of young players that contributed, and we've continued it with this class. Obviously you always recruit a quarterback every year, and then you attempt to get skill players that score touchdowns, but the foundation of everything is the offense and defensive line. And we really made an emphasis with replacing some of the defensive linemen that we lost, continued to add linebackers because we primarily play an odd front with a 3-4 front where we have more linebackers on the field, and then we had to augment our secondary because we only took the one last year, Gilbert, and we needed to acquire some more talent and more depth there. So those would be the highlights, and we've been able to hit needs but also bring in talented players for this freshman class.
Terrific, and we're going to go right into it. We're going to start looking at these kids. We have 6 offensive players to look at, actually 7. Just added another one, 7 offensive players, 11 defensive players. Those offensive players, we're going to have a couple offensive linemen. We're going to have a tight end. We're going to have a fullback, a wide receiver, like you said, a quarterback. So let's talk about those offensive players right into it. Let's get into some offensive linemen, the guys up front you talked about, the guys that lay that foundation, open those holes for the guys to run behind. Michael Barr, an offensive lineman, 6'4", 285 pounds, out of Havertown, Pennsylvania, not far away, the Haverford School. Tell me what you liked about him.
Well, Mike's a big, strong, tough, smart offensive lineman, and those are traits that we really believe that are important for the offensive line position. We ask them to do a lot. They need to be smart. They need to be versatile, and he provides the ability to play guard and even center if we had to, and he's smart enough to play both sides. And so we just like the way he played, the toughness that he brings, the strength that he has, and he already has the size and frame that we believe that he is able to contribute his first year.
What I liked about him, just big and strong, good at the point of attack, almost like a road grader, a guy that really rolls his hips and can get down and get in a stance from both sides, gets to the second level very well. And all the things I think Coach Pace, and going into his second year, where do you see him playing? Is he a center? Is he a guard? Is he an interior player for you?
He's an interior player for us, but I believe his best position would be guard. And then also in a pinch, if you had some injuries or had to supplement some depth outside, he could play right tackle as well. I just think he's smart coming from the Haverford School. He's certainly a kid that comes from a Lafayette profile school. We really respect their program and the kids that they generate, and he just exemplifies the right kind of guy and the type of attitude and toughness that we want from our offensive line position.
And what I like about your offensive line is just the versatility. The way Slater could go from one side to the other, started offensive. I mean, there's such a versatility, and obviously putting Grunhofer in at center where he looks like he's found a home. He started out as a guard. The offensive line so important, and having that versatility to plug and play gives Coach Pace a lot of versatility as well. Let's move on. We'll talk about Bo Bedard, another offensive lineman, 6'4", 290 pounds, out of Annapolis, Maryland, McDonough High School. Which, if you know football, you know about McDonough High School. 6'4", 290. Bo Bedard. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about him.
Well, Bo also is one of those interior guys that's smart, tough, reliable, versatile. We believe Bo can play center and also play guard. He's a guy that is tough and athletic. He's somebody that plays with great effort and toughness. Really like his effort on the second level. The way he's able to take proper angles, know where the ball is going to be, and get between him and the guys blocking.
And he finishes so well. I mean, he's really, from what just relentless. And you got to love that. The motor, fantastic hip roll. He's got really nice, sometimes hard to teach, I'm sure you know, offensive hand placement, good hand placement, elbows in, thumbs up, does a nice job extending, getting extension, keeping that defensive lineman away from his shirt, away from his body. So a good, well coached at that level.
Well, it comes from a good program, and that's important to us to bring those type of guys in. And with his versatility and with his toughness, I think he can add depth and challenge at center, but also play guard because of how smart he is.
Seems like a terrific athlete as well, and we don't talk enough about how academically these kids are so good. I mean, they are really good. Just to come up and have the ability to talk to a guy like yourself or anybody on your staff or even get on campus, these kids have to have the right makeup, and that starts obviously with their grades. They got to do it in the classroom, and sometimes you can narrow a kid down just based on that. You walk into the guidance office and you say, give me the transcript. You look at the transcript and you know, I got no shot of getting this kid in, or hey, this is a kid that we really got to go hard after. He's got all the qualities we look for. So academically, these kids are fantastic.
Well, with those two guys, we just believe that they're the right kind of guys, and it really starts with the transcript. It starts with their academic profile, that we like to say, and it has to be right. It has to be a fit. You have to recruit to the strengths of your school, and the strengths of our school is a competitive academic atmosphere and really competitive football as well, and that combination is important, and those kids got to be motivated to achieve in both of those areas.
Yeah, and all of these kids are, as we see as we move along here. We're going to move on to a massive tight end you got here. Somebody, I know you love the tight end position. Obviously, Mason Gilbert, 6'7", 217 pounds out of DeWitt, Michigan, DeWitt High School. Highly touted. I know a lot of FBS schools were after this guy, a lot of FCS, great student, just a big target. I mean, if you watch this kid play, he's smooth, he's got soft hands. I mean, he has everything in someone you say is a smaller body, but in a big body.
Yeah, like I get enamored with tight ends. I think it's really important to have them on your team because of the versatility and the problems they cause defensive coordinators. Because they have to determine whether they're blockers or pass receivers, and that versatility is key. This is a big, tall kid with range. He's got a big catch radius. I think he's really going to be a threat for us up the seam and in the red zone. He's a basketball player as well, so he knows about positioning. He knows about finding a hole in the zone. He's a natural catcher of the ball.
Yes, he is.
And we found out about him after he, decommitted from an FBS school that lost their coach, and he reached out to us after we had seen him at the Northwestern camp and really liked him, and realized that he chose a school with a bigger program. But when he came available, boy, we jumped on it, and he's also very motivated by academics.
Yes.
He really just appreciated what Lafayette could offer in that regard, and really was a good fit for us. So we're glad to have him on our team.
Yeah, he's a terrific kid. You see just the size. You don't see a lot of those kids that can move and move smoothly. They have the hips, they have the hands, the softness of the hands, and to threaten. Whenever I do the games for you guys, I always say, Coach, when he threatens between the hash marks, that opens up everything on the sideline, especially when we had a guy like Pearson and we have some speed, and the guys we have on the outside now, if you can threaten between the hash marks, it opens everything up. It changes coverage.
Yeah, it really does. And when you put those big tight ends on the field who can run, and we have them, add Mason Gilbert to that with Zadok and Jake Taggart and all those guys, and Steven Stilianos, all those guys have been productive for us, getting down the field, and they're big targets with catch radius. So I'm excited to put 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 tight ends on the field.
I've seen 4.
All right? And they're all capable of spreading out and getting in that slot as well, and so it's going to be fun putting the offense together with these weapons. And
Mason can be a red zone threat, obviously, as well. And I do remember when you had 4 tight ends, the next play you had 4 wides, but nobody changed personnel. It's hard sometimes to point that out to people. Let's move on to a wide receiver here. You had a fantastic wide receiver class. You're only bringing one in, obviously, but Joseph Groves here, wide receiver, 6 foot, 190 pounds out of Leesburg, Virginia. This is a good program. This is a kid that just fits right into the mold, the body control, the route running ability he has, the vision, and the speed. I mean, Joseph Groves fits right in with the rest of those wide receivers that you brought in last year.
Well, Joey's a versatile guy that we were on early, and it's really the right way of recruiting. Identified him early in junior day, then we stayed after him and we brought him to camp, and we were able to get a live evaluation, and he certainly got plenty of tape so we could see his versatility. He plays offense, he plays defense, he plays lacrosse, another 2-sport athlete that shows versatility and toughness, and great effort. He caught touchdown passes. They ran the ball with him. He played defense. You see him tackling, you see him return, and just a really versatile guy. And when he came on campus, he loved our facilities. He loved the fact that we were a true combination of competitive academics and competitive athletics. And he's certainly just a real typical Lafayette College recruit that loves football and loves to achieve academically. And he's all about ball and all about Lafayette, and we're really glad to have him.
Yeah, you can tell when you watch the film, he's got that little edge to him. 50-50 balls with him sometimes become 70-30 balls, you know, and that's what people talk about, you know, the way he can go up and take the ball out of the air. And I look at some of the receivers that you had, you know, coming out of last year, the young kids, you know, the Julius Youngs and Chris Webb and Joey Gillette, and obviously Zadok Scott. You got Quinn Revere coming back. You got Jordan Hull coming back. KJ Rogers, we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg with him, but you know, a guy like Joey Droves, you got to be really excited, and just watching his film, it's and that's a great program. I mean, that's a program I'm sure you were familiar with when you were at Richmond.
Yeah, we recruited all the time. He comes from a great area of football, and he adds a lot of versatility to our group, but I see him contributing early, but it's up to him.
Sure.
Special teams, offense, return game, and then different spots on offense as well, and ways to get him the ball in different areas. Yeah,
terrific athlete, fits right in here again. You said it, always got to have a quarterback, always got to bring one in every year. You bring one in this year from Clearwater High School down in Florida, Monty, 6'2", 185 pounds. One of the first guys that I saw on film when I saw that you and your staff were interested in him. I mean, he reminds me so much of the quarterback you have right now. He does all the same things. He can get out of the pocket, extend plays. Tell me about Monty and what kind of stood out for you on the film.
Well, just his production. I mean, he's a record-setting quarterback in Florida, in his league, in his conference, and just every type of physical requirement that you ask in a quarterback, he can do. He throws accurately from the pocket. He can complete balls down the field. He's accurate at the intermediate level and the underneath level. He gets the ball out when pressured. He can run. He can escape. He's athletic. He's really smart. And he's a fantastic leader and he just loves ball. I mean, we saw him in the spring. Coach Shankweiler went to see him. We saw the video. We liked him. We invited him to camp. He came to camp. He came to campus. So that right there says, I'm interested in Lafayette. When they come to campus, then the recruitment becomes real. And then he really performed at camp, and you could just tell that he was competitive, that he wanted to get it right. He made a great impression with how smart he is and how he could retain information and take coaching. And he has a little family connection. His parents actually grew up in Pennsylvania, and his dad actually went to high school with our Major Jordan's mom. So they're familiar with Pennsylvania, so they weren't deterred at all by coming from Florida. And I've had several coaches that I know from Florida high school that when we got him committed, they called me up unsolicited. You got some competitor there. We go against him all the time, and he's a great kid that loves ball, and he's really reached out to a lot of the recruits and commits because he certainly is a natural leader, and he wants to encourage as many good players. I love when kids go and help you recruit, and they make the call and go, "I'm coming. What about you?" Or they spend the weekend here because there's 20, 25 kids on campus in December, and they spend the weekend here. They become close. They talk. They find, where are you visiting? And before you know it, a guy like Rent commits, and now everybody else goes, well, I want to play with him because I'm a wide receiver, I'm a DB, or I just love that kid, and I love his family. He seems to be has everything moving in the right direction. And I'm going to steal something from you. He throws with anticipation. I took that from you. A guy that sees people open, throws to windows. He's an exceptional football player. That's a great get. Yeah, and it's funny when I went back down to check on him in December when we could go, he was preparing for an all-star game. And I went down there and I said, the game was the next night, and I said, okay, how's it going? Like, what offense are you running? And just call me a play. And he just rattled it off like he's been in the offense for an entire season. He's been there like 3 practices. Wow. So really looking forward to him, and you know, he's a competitive guy, and he's certainly gonna push Keegan, and you know, this guy loves ball, so it'll be a great competition. Yeah, excellent, excellent. Okay, well, let's move on. We're going to talk about Max Runyon here, 6 foot, 215 pound fullback / F-back for you out of Saddle River, New Jersey.
what jumped off the page right here for me, his toughness, and he went to St. Joe's Montville. I mean, that is some great football up there. This is the type of kid you can't live without. If you watch the Super Bowl, you watch one of the best fullbacks for the San Francisco 49ers. This is a kid you need in your offense.
Well, we love fullbacks. We love all the personnel groups, and we recruit towards that. So we have the versatility and challenge defenses. Like we said, we love to recruit guys from established programs that have had a lot of success, and at St. Joe's is fantastic that way. Not only do they win championships, but they develop players and send them to college football. And Max is a tough guy that embraces that 21 fullback position. He's gonna be off the ball, and he's smart, tough, reliable, can catch it out of the backfield, and also lay the wood to people as a lead blocker. So we really enjoy having him part of our program.
Yeah, he does a lot of the dirty work, and we saw even last year in the Lehigh Lafayette game how important it was to have somebody that could lead block or even get a 4th and 1 for you in Ryan Montaigne. And Ryan's from that area as well. So he's got the strong lower body. He mixes it up well. He's athletic, can catch the ball. You know, Max is a guy that's going to come in here. He's going to produce. He's a guy that's going to be on the bus for you next year. I mean, he's going to do all the little things on special teams, and before you know it, he's going to be in that position. I can see an emotion in back and forth right now in your offense. So terrific job for Max. Great get there. Let's talk about Zack Saturn now. Zack Saturn's a wide receiver for you at a North Highland High School. 5'11", 180 pounds. Right there we get a look at Zack. Hohokus, New Jersey. Again, just a kid that can do it for you on the outside. Great hands, can work in the slot.
Well, this is a kid that is really productive. They use him a ton of ways. You see production in the slot. You see down the field. You see wide receiver screens. You see him beat guys on option routes. You see him up the seam making catches. They hand him the ball. He plays defense. He tackles as a safety. He returns punts. Real versatile guy. He has quickness to separate. He's a reliable kid. He's tough. He's competitive. And you know, just keep watching the tape and you say, how productive is he? And just keep giving him the ball in all these different ways. And you know, here's a wide receiver screen, and he takes it to the house. And you know, not many people are gaining ground on him. So we really like his versatility. We like his toughness. Anytime that you can get a wide receiver that also shows toughness and effort as a defensive player, you know that he's going to be tough over the middle catching the ball. And with his versatility, I see him doing a lot of jobs. You know, he can vie as a punt returner, kickoff returner, slot receiver, handling the ball on fly sweeps, also be an outside receiver based on the tape. So he's a kid that we love his production and feel that he can do a lot of different jobs because of his versatility. Yeah,
and he's talented. And you know, if you want to watch these kids, really, what I do is I'll just type in, you know, Zack Saturn, HUDL, and I watch them. And what I like to do is watch a full game tape sometimes, because you can watch highlights, you can understand what it's like to see somebody excel when they have the ball in their hands. But what are they doing, especially for wide receivers nowadays, where they have to block so much on the perimeter? They have to be able to block in the wide receiver screen. They have to do opposite things, occupy a safety on something. So it's not just the fact when they have the ball in their hands, it's what they do when they don't. And many of these kids are making plays for other players as well, which is so important. In an offense like yours, everybody's got to be in the right place. So a great get there for you, for Zack Saturn. We're going to take a little break right now, but we want to finish up there talking about the offensive players. 7 offensive players we showed you. We're going to come back in a couple minutes, and we're going to move on to the defense. Where my heart lies, the defensive players. 11 of those coming your way right after this. Stay with us here on the Lafayette Sports Network. I'm back here to signing day on the campus of Lafayette College, and I am joined here by head football coach John Garrett. John, again, thanks for having us in and letting us take a little peek into this class, an extraordinary class from what I see. Obviously, we got a good look at the offensive players. We're going to turn our attention now to the defensive side. I thought a defense last year that Manny Rojas coming in and establishing the odd front, I just thought they got better each and every week. I thought the defensive line, obviously, you got to have a defensive line that can put pressure on the quarterbacks. You finished games when you had to with that defensive line. You had some defensive backs that played really well. You had some injuries back there. But the young kids played well, the linebackers, all 3 levels. I thought Manny got the most out of it, and they got better each week. Your thoughts?
Well, really proud of our defense. We ended up, if you just take the conference game, as the #1 defense in the conference. Yep. And the way we played in those Patriot League games, we forced turnovers. And I mean, we took the ball away. And it wasn't just that they dropped it. We took the ball away. And that was big for us. I think we're a +4 or 5 in the Patriot League games as far as our turnover ratio, and that was huge. And they did it by overcoming significant injuries. I mean, the first part of the year, our defensive line was devastated with injuries. In the middle part of the year, it was the defensive backs. And then we really hit our stride with everybody back, basically 1 or 2 games into the Patriot League season. So they just did a wonderful job of playing coordinated team defense, getting the ball in opportune times away from the offense and giving it back to us. And obviously guys like Malik and the way our pass rushers got after the quarterback was significant. And then we intercepted the ball too. So they generated turnovers and really made some big stops. And those were the contributing factors to making us statistically, at the top of the league. So really pleased with how they played. And the best thing about all that, a lot of those guys are coming back.
You just took the words out of my mouth. I mean, guys like Major Jordan, just a solid block in the middle there. You get a guy like Marco Olivas who runs sideline and makes huge plays. Ryan Dickens in the secondary. Guys that stepped up. I thought Romeo Weichel stepped up when he had to be moved to corner. Did a great job. You got some young, defensive backs, some corners that you're excited about as well, and that defensive line, you're going to replenish that. We're going to take a look at the defensive players right now. We have 11 of those players, so we're going to start in the secondary with Narayan Brown. Narayan Brown out of Atlanta, Georgia, North Springs High School. What a fertile ground. 6'3", 180 pounds. Narayan Brown, one of the first guys to get his paperwork in. This is a kid that can really play, and he plays against top talent in Atlanta.
Well, we love to recruit the area, and there's always a combination of good players from schools with good grades, and he really shows everything that you're looking for in a defensive back. He plays the ball well. He covers competitively. He shows the ability to play press coverage, also play off and anticipate, intercept the ball. You see him come up and tackle. You see him compete. You see him open his hips and run with the receivers deep. And he has some versatility and athleticism. So we just like the combination of all the skills and talents that he brings, and just really a knack for playing the ball, which ultimately is one of the top traits that you look for in a defender. And we just believe he's a corner that is really going to be somebody that contributes early for us.
Yeah,
but it's up to him.
Yeah.
He's going to certainly get that opportunity.
Sure, got to come in here, be ready to play, be weight trained, do all the things that are necessary. What I like about him, he's 6'3". I mean, it's a big kid. A kid like that you can put out there, and he's only going to get bigger and stronger. The other thing I noticed about some of the game film I watched is he plays great man-to-man, got great hips, can do all that, but plays well in zone, and that's hard to see a young kid work in zone. How does he play, the fan route versus the slide route in the flat? How does he play in between? Does he have a feel for zone concepts? Is he intelligent? Does he understand the concept that the defensive coordinator has in? So not only his great man skills, but the ability to play in zone. He showed me that on film.
Again, we just really like the way he plays. Again, he shows the awareness and anticipation of a zone defender, but also had the guts and courage to play man coverage and play the ball. So I really appreciate his skills, and he's going to add a lot to our secondary.
Absolutely. And let's move to another defensive back right here. One of the best defensive backs I've seen on film, and I watch a lot of film. Semaj Cross, am I saying that right? Semaj Cross, defensive back, 6 foot 205 out of Toledo, Ohio. Toledo Central Catholic. Highly recruited all over. This is a great get, Coach. This kid can just flat out play, can run, do everything that you're looking for in a DB.
Well, it was, again, the recruiting process that we implement. He is the poster child for it. We identified him on tape. We watched him at camp at Northwestern. We got a live look. Then he came to campus, and he's the right kind of kid with the right kind of family. They appreciated the combination of really good education and good competitive football. But him as a player, We love how he forces the run
Yep.
as a safety, has the athleticism to play the back end and intercept the ball. We believe he's a good enough athlete to also cover guys in the slot and play man-to-man. Just a lot of versatility, a lot of toughness, and he has this humility and he has this hunger about him that he loves football and really competitive. So he's a guy that is already physically mature and will add a lot, and we believe that he has a great chance of contributing early as a freshman.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, again, he'll be a guy that's on the bus. What I love about him is the fact that he comes down, like you said, in the box. He's a punishing hitter. He's a willing hitter. He's not just grabbing guys and, pulling them down. He's a willing hitter. He's in the box, but then, like you said, he can get back in space and play in space. Because so many kids we watch nowadays can come into the box and make plays, can play downhill. Linebacker can play downhill. But their ability to pedal, to open their hips, play in space, understand where they are in space is a guy that, Cross can do that, and it's a great program. Again, filling up with the DBs, can't ever have enough defensive backs on your team.
Well, he's just another kid from a really good program.
Yep.
I think they went all the way to the state title, really did well. So it's a guy that we know is coached in high school and coached well. And playing at a high level, and we're excited to add him to the program.
Absolutely, and we're going to move on here to John Engel. John Engel's a 6'3", 190-pound defensive back. John's out of Lilith, Pennsylvania, Manheim Township. Again, just great football. We watch them. I've done Manheim Township games before with Gary Laubach. I mean, this kid, again, comes from a great high school. A ferocious hitter. I mean, you've got guys that are going to come down in the box, and he just plays great. What did you like about him?
Well, just this combination of his size and athleticism, you see a big kid like that run well, change direction. Like you said, also tackle. He shows a lot of physicality, plays downhill, forces the run, but also you see production of him playing the pass and playing some man-to-man, reacting properly in zone, making tackles in space, coming down in the box and defeating blocks and putting guys down. Yeah. So. He's a big physical guy, and the thing that really is important to me is that as soon as he was on campus, he just loved what Lafayette had to offer. He was all about a combination of really good academics and competitive football with fantastic facilities, and he wanted to be here. And we got a collection of guys that really want to be here and really consider this opportunity at Lafayette a real privilege to play. And when you have those guys, they walk around here with a bouncing step and a smile on their face, and they want to make it right and do everything they can to be successful.
When you get those kids on campus sometimes, do they marvel sometimes at our facilities? Obviously, they love the coaches, they love the talk about Lafayette, but then when they get here on campus, it's almost like you can see the awe in their face, like, I never expected a locker room like that. I never expected facilities on the field. I never expected the ability to talk to a professor and have 10, 12, 15 kids in my class. It's such an eye-opener, and it's so important for them to get here. Their parents understand it, and then they get back and they start to talk on the way home, and they go, there's nothing that this place doesn't have that we want.
We can't take enough pictures to send to recruits to give it justice.
Sure.
And then when they come here, they say, well, look at this beautiful campus and these wonderful buildings and the quad. And then they get to Fisher Stadium and just the intimate setting that we have. And then it's Berger Varsity Football House with one-stop shopping, so to speak, with our own weight room, our own locker room, our own meeting rooms, our own training room. And the comments that we receive are, wow, we just went from this place, and this just blows it away. So we're really proud of what we have and what we can offer the student athletes. And again, every single day when I walk into this building, I consider it a privilege, not a right, to coach here, and a lot of our players believe that too.
It's one of the first things you always say. It's a privilege, not a right, to play here, and I had the opportunity to play here when we didn't have great facilities, but to see the way this program has come forward and you've taken it forward, to have these type of facilities and then see the gleam in their eye, and you and I are now recruiting the 2025 class.
Yeah.
But let's move on here. We're going to talk about Preston Forney, a linebacker, 6'1", 220 pounds, out of South Lake, Texas, South Lake Carroll High School. Coach, we've done pretty well in Texas, I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, Preston Forney is a guy that comes from a great program. Riley Dodge down at South Lake Carroll High School has done a fantastic job. They went well into the playoffs. It's always been a good program from when Riley's dad was coaching, and they won 89 of 90 games. And you know, it's familiar to me. It's because that's where it's the community where I lived when I was coaching with the Cowboys. My kids attended South Lake Carroll High School. We know the quality of the program. We're familiar with the type of kid. In fact, you know, Preston's brother played high school lacrosse with my son John.
There you go.
And he knows some friends of my daughters that they were in the same class. But this guy is a tough, downhill, smart. In the words of Riley Dodge and their coaches, he might be the best player on our football team.
Wow.
And they have a lot of talented guys. We just love his toughness. We love his mentality. He puts his face in the fan. He's really smart. I got to see him live play some games this year during our bye week when we went down there. And he was just on his visit. A great family that appreciates what Lafayette has to offer. And we are just pleased to add another tough, hard-nosed, talented football player from Texas.
Yeah, I mean, he can really play. Plays great, shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, doesn't overrun plays, can get downhill, plays inside out, and having a guy like Marko Olivas doesn't hurt as well to show, listen, look at what Marko did. Started on special teams. He's a kid I think that can get on the bus for you. He's going to contribute, plays really well downhill. Really, really like what he's done. We're going to move on to another defensive back right here, Shiki Hannah. Shiki is a defensive back, 5'10", 170 pounds, out of Minnetonka, New Jersey, Delsea High School. Again, a great high school there. Let's take a look at Shiki. What did you like about him?
Well, just his athleticism and speed and versatility. When you watch the tape, you see the quickness, you see the burst, you see the speed, the ability to run with receivers, his competitiveness and his versatility. You see him intercept the ball. You see him compete as a press corner. You see him tackle. You see him intercept the ball, and he is a real threat when he has the ball in his hand, even as an offensive player.
Wow.
And just speed, quickness, ability to make people miss when he's playing offense in high school, and again, there's the ability to catch the ball and just speed. He outruns people, and he's tough, and you know, all those things make him a corner that you really want because of the speed to be able to run with receivers, but also the competitiveness and his ability to play the ball.
Yeah, the 99% of people have to understand when you're watching the show, 99% of these kids play the other side of the ball too, and they're usually the best player on the team. So we're only showing the defensive back highlights, the interceptions, the run backs, the coverage, but on offense they have probably just as many, if not more, highlights from that standpoint. But a guy like Shiki has great hips, just can open and run. There's no hesitation. There's no stiffness there. That's what I noticed. And he's a kickoff punt returner. And you know, those are two areas I think that probably need some improvement. We got to get better field position through the punt returns and through kickoff returns. I think with some injuries we had to J.J. Younger, we didn't probably give you enough good field position. So having a kid that can get on the field maybe in those capacities is going to be huge. Just getting the first play of the offense is a punt return. First play of the offense is a kickoff return. I know how important you think that is as well.
Well, we've been able to score touchdowns and doing that with guys in the past, and he's a guy that adds that speed, that extra gear, that when you can get him the ball more often than not, you know, he's got a chance to go all the way. And with his speed and his ability to elude, he's gonna add a threat not only as a defensive back but also with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and he can do that. And like I said, you know, having the ability to put their ball in their hands is one thing. We're going to talk about one of the, you know, this was never my favorite position, but defensive linemen. When you watch Malik Ham play, and you watch obviously Keith Earl play, and Harrison Greenhill, and some of the defensive linemen we had, even the young guys too, with Washington, these kids get after it up front, and it's become so much fun to watch them. And you're bringing a kid in here from California in Marko Joseph. Let's show, or Marcus Joseph. Let's show Marcus, 6'4", 290-pound defensive lineman out of the Windward School in Los Angeles, California. Tell me a little bit about him and maybe a little about his background and his school.
Well, he's a unique player. First of all, he's, like you said, approaching 6'4". He's 270, 280 pounds. To move at that size, his athleticism, his ability to change direction, his physicality and explosion, leaps off the tape. But he also is on a basketball team. He's
Yep.
a starter on their basketball team that is one of the top basketball
Wow.
teams in the country, and he covers their big guy.
Yeah.
And but the school that he attends is a very prestigious academic school, so it's important to him and his family. And he wanted a school that has a good combination of academics and athletics. And he has a sister that plays basketball at Hawaii. And his parents are just dedicated to providing a great opportunity for Marcus and the sister. And we just believe that he is talented, he's athletic. To get a big man like this that can move around like that with the explosion, you know, the sky's the limit for him. And we really believe that building the defensive line is critical to football team. You saw it this year with the San Francisco 49ers, and it's just critical to get those guys that put pressure on the quarterback, because I believe the most important position in all of sports is the quarterback, all right? But secondly, on a football team is getting guys that affect the quarterback.
Yeah.
And the position that can most affect the quarterback is a defensive pass rusher. And we have those guys, and we're making it important to bring those guys in. And Marcus is a guy that we believe that can push the pocket as an interior defensive lineman and have the athleticism to sack the quarterback as well.
Yeah.
So we're excited about him and his development, and what a wonderful kid. We're just so pleased to have his family part of our program.
Now, I can see from the smile on your face, and all you have to do is look back to the last play of the year and putting the Lehigh quarterback on his butt and you know, putting that game away twice, by the way. But that was amazing. And look at a guy like Marcus. For a big guy, he still plays low, and he's got a great swim move, and he understands the game of football. And like you said, I mean, just for me, looking at the kid, the sky's the limit. That's the tip of the iceberg. For him to get into a program like this and now excel and really focus on his academics and focus on football, you're going to see some bright things from him. And again, just a big kid. And the fact that he plays basketball is number one for me. He plays basketball, and that just adds so much to the mix as well. So let's move on right here. We're going to talk about Max Coffin. Max is out of Stafford, Virginia, 6 foot, 220 pounds, a linebacker, Colonial Forge High School. Mike linebacker, all state, all region, all district, all area, all everything. Tell me about Max.
Well, it comes from a really good program. They had success this year. Smart, tough, dependable. He came to camp, really shined in camp that we had this summer. A lot of production as a defensive player, but also as a runner.
Yes,
they handed
offensively.
him the ball, and the way he can change direction. He's got a great lower body, tough as can be, versatile, facing the fan type of guy as far as his toughness, relentless pursuit of the football, and just love the way he plays. And he was one of their most valuable players. And look at him run right there. I mean, he had production as a
I watched
as
some
a
of his
running
offensive
back.
highlights.
And, you know, we just love the versatility. We believe that he can be a wrecking machine on special teams as well. And he's just a tackling machine with a great lower body and just this toughness and explosion as a tackler that we believe is a really good fit as an interior inside linebacker.
Yeah, I think he's right there when you're talking about guys like Major Jordan and you talk about Ryan Dickens. He fits into that mold. He's got that low center of gravity, scrapes well to the ball across, shoulder square. Looks weight trained as well. Are most of these kids, obviously they have to be, they're weight trained. You know, some kids you have to get them here, obviously turn them over to Coach Potts, but all of these kids come in really well weight trained, benching over 300, squatting over 400 or 500. I mean, a lot of these kids, they understand what it takes to play at this level.
Well, I think that's just a credit to the high school programs.
Yep.
We prefer to recruit kids from programs that are really established that have these programs where they're lifting in the off season and all that. So they make great gains in the off season, and this group epitomizes that.
Yeah,
they're all in really good shape, and certainly they have a lot of room to grow. And then when they get in our program with Coach Potts, they just continue to add the weight and get stronger. But we're bringing them in a size with a frame that that Coach Potts really likes.
He knows what he's doing, and been doing it for a long time here, Coach Potts. Let's move on to Stone McDonald, the defensive back here from Bluffton, South Carolina, Hilton Head Prep. You're going to see a lot of highlights here. Stone as a quarterback, an athlete. You like them, obviously. He's a kid that can play pretty much anywhere for you, offensively or defensively. He's going to be a DB for you.
Yeah, he is. He's going to play safety for us, and down there in South Carolina, he shows a lot of versatility. You see him as a quarterback here, but you also see him as a good athlete in the secondary, taking good angles, making tackles, playing the ball.
Yep.
He's the most productive guy on his high school team. They give him a chance to run it. They give him a chance to throw it. They put him on defense. He makes tackles. And he's a kid, and it's a family that recognizes, you know what, Lafayette's a really good fit for us, because we want our son to go to a really good school that plays competitive football, and why not Lafayette? And so they made a really good business decision that we wanted to provide a great opportunity for our family, and Stone made a great impression, not only on his tape, but also here on his visit, and we're glad to have him part of our program.
Yeah, and what a great name, Stone McDonald.
Yeah.
I got to remember that if my kid ever has a kid, I'm going to name him Stone. I love that name. Great frame, intelligent, and like you said, everything that Lafayette College is looking for. Another kid that's going to contribute. I think early for you on special teams, he can do it all. And now let's move on here. We're going to move on to, and you're going to have to help me with A.T. Natantang.
All right. We call him AT.
AT,
right?
5'9", 195.
And Tang. And then we're gonna really call him AT a lot.
Okay.
Right? He likes that.
It's easy.
And this guy, again, from the McDonough school, it's the second player that we have from McDonough. He's a teammate of Bedard, but this guy is just a competitive, fast, quick, tough football player. He intercepts the ball. He plays press corner. He competes. He tackles. He intercepts it.
He strips it. I saw about 4 or 5 times.
And he's rocked up. He's physical. There's evidence of weight training. He's a ball hawk. Just love his competitiveness and how much he loves ball. And he makes a lot of plays. Here you see him coming in great pursuit and loves the physicality part of playing defense. Plays corner, plays safety, a lot of versatility.
Wow.
All right, and he's got a burst. He's fast, he's quick, and there's a lot to like.
Yeah, he's got everything. I mean, a very fast young man, incredible feet. You look at a kid like that, sometimes you can watch 3 or 4 plays and you're like, all right, Coach, I've seen the kid. I understand what you're talking about. I understand why you brought this kid to me, but great feet, and like you said, just great hips, athletic ability. Sounds like he plays with a passion on the field. And we didn't even see any of his offensive highlights, which were probably just as good. But AT is going to be a special player here, and he is a great get. We struggled in the secondary. You talked about it with some injuries. So these are kids that are going to get an opportunity. Just like the wide receivers you brought in, we played probably half, if not more than half of those kids. But now with the DBs, these kids get a chance to show you what they can do, and they're going to be on the bus, and it's going to start on special teams and how well they come in here and how much they're willing to do the things that the coaches ask them to do. But AT's a guy that has all the pieces in place to be a real contributor early.
Well, we lost some good senior DBs in YT and Eric Mitchell, and some depth with some other guys, and we needed to replenish with depth. But we believe that we replenished with really good talent, and these guys are going to vie to compete and be on the field as freshmen, and there's no red shirts in the Patriot League, so if they're ready, we're ready to put them in, and so we like the talent that we're adding in the secondary. Special
player there in AT. Let's move on to a defensive lineman here, Noah Nunn, 6'5", 230 pounds, out of Medina, Ohio. Medina High School, first team Medina, excuse me.
Okay.
Medina, I should know that as a golfer, right? First team All-Ohio, All-Conference, All-County, All-District, Northeast Ohio Player of the Year. Just fills up the stat sheet, sacks, tackles for losses, 18 of those. What did you like about Noah?
Well, his potential. I mean, he's an athletic guy with length. He can naturally bend the corner and get after the quarterback. He's got that hip flexibility you need to turn the corner. Relentless effort, and he's got a frame that he can get much bigger. We just loved his athleticism and how he played. He's the son of Robert Nunn, who's a long-time defensive line coach in the NFL.
In the NFL,
so certainly he's been taught some
a few
tips
since he's probably 12.
But it really comes from a great program, one that is competitive in Northeast Ohio, and I just love his relentlessness, his versatility, his athleticism.
Nice.
He's got initial quickness, and I just believe that as he gets bigger and stronger, he's going to be a real factor because he's got a natural athleticism to rush the passer, and then with that added strength, he's going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, at 6'5", 230 pounds. You know, he's going to be weight trained. Obviously, he has the pedigree, like you said. He's got the training to do that. I love his motor. I love the way he sets the edge. You know, offensive or defensively, he's got a great get off. Those are the things that I liked about Noah. And again, replenishing that position. And Noah is a guy who's got the frame, like you said, to do that. So we're going to move on here. We're going to move on to Ike Summerlin. Okay, Ike, 6'2", 230-pound defensive lineman, Overland Park, Kansas. If you know football, you know Overland Park. Blue Valley West High School. Love his hand placement, love his extension, very well weight trained, and he's a football player right now.
Yeah, he is. He's this is a good league and a good program that he comes from, and he's just really productive. Here you see him sacking the quarterback with an inside move. Really good job of using his hands,
right
disengage, relentless pursuit of the ball. If it's the quarterback, if it's a runner, but tough. Uses his hands, plays with separation, tackles behind the line, key, diagnose, shed, pursuit tackles down the line of scrimmage. Also versatile, plays offense, lines up at tight end, lines up at fullback,
in line,
facing the fan, will block. Evidence of toughness all over the field, evidence of toughness and effort all over the tape. You know, those are the things you look for in these highlight tapes, because they're all good plays.
Yeah,
they're all good plays, and what you really look for is effort, toughness, and if they show that with the capability, we'll develop them. And so I just when you say true football player, that epitomizes it because of his effort, his toughness, and his relentlessness, and just love for the game.
Yeah, he's disruptive on both sides of the football, and a kid you can't live without. I mean, that's a kid that you have to have. Just a terrific class, Coach. I mean, overall impressions. I mean, you had 6 offensive guys, 11 on defense. You've got more coming, so this ain't the end of it. We always say that, but there'll be more kids to add, kids that still have to make that decision, and it's such an important decision in their life, and it's a place where they're going to thrive. And I tell you what, just replenish, Coach. You're reloading. You're reloading with the right kids. You're reloading with the athletic kids, the kids that can contribute for you on the field, and obviously in the classroom and in the community. Just a great group of kids.
Well, most pleased with that they're the right kind of guys, which is line one for us. And not only are the right kind of guys, but their families. Get to know their moms and dads. They're the right kind of families, that they truly appreciate this opportunity. And they were just thrilled and so impressed with the academic reputation, the campus, everything that we presented them from a football program. And I tell you what, is the reaction and response that we got from the families and the kids was so complimentary of our players on the official visits and our coaches, with how well our players represented our program, how well spoken they are, how our coaches facilitated the visit and engaged with everyone. So it's a credit to our staff and our players of just epitomizing the program that we're trying to run and the impression we're trying to make, and we're just really pleased with the type of guy that we're bringing into the program to properly represent Lafayette College.
Well, it's also a credit to you and your staff for getting these kids on campus with their families, entertaining them. You only have a 48-hour window, and it's really even less than that. A chance for them to understand what Lafayette's all about, get that across to them, have them visit the campus, understand what the classroom's going to be like, what the football environment's going to be like. I mean, it's a credit to you and your staff. You've got everybody in place, and Coach, you're going to be in spring ball very soon. I mean, the weather out there right now is pretty good, and you know, it's an opportunity for you. So everything's pointing in the right direction. Broke through last year. Your thoughts here for a quick spring? What are you looking at in the spring real quick?
Well, we did break through last year, and we're ready to break out this year. And we're poised and ready to continue to consistently compete for Patriot League championships. The guys feel it. There's hope and belief. They know they were right there. They know they were just this close to being Patriot League champions, and that hope and belief is being carried out with the way they're attacking the off season. So we really have a lot of momentum going into the spring. We're poised and ready to gear up and improve. The guys are ready to get better, and we're excited about the future, and we're bringing in the right kind of guys, and we continue to build the program that everybody is proud of on and off the field.
Coach, thanks for a couple minutes. Really appreciate it on such a busy day for you and your staff to take the time out to let the people out there at the Lafayette Sports Network land understand and GoLeopards.com how important this day is. One of my favorite days. We thank you for joining us here on GoLeopards.com and the Lafayette Sports Network for the Signing Day show here with Mike Joseph. He's John Garrett. I'm Mike Joseph. Thanks again for joining us. And again, all of these kids are available for you to watch on film, understand them and their families, and we are so happy to have them as Lafayette Leopards in the class of 2024. So for now, we'll see you later. Thanks for joining us.